What? It is used to ask about things or information. For example, what is your name? What do you do? Where? It is used to ask about place or location. For example, where do you live? Where are you going? When? It is used to ask about time. For example, when is your exam? When did you arrive? Why? It is used to ask about reason. For example, why are you late? Why is he crying? Who? It is used to ask about a person. For example, who is your friend? Who called you? Whom? It is used to ask about the object of the verb. For example, whom are you talking to? Whom did you meet? Whose? It is used to ask about possession. For example, whose laptop is this? Whose book is on the chair? Which? It is used to ask about a choice between options. For example, which dress do you like? Which is your favorite color? How? It is used to ask about condition. For example, how are you? How was your day? What kind? It is used to ask about category or description. For example, what kind of movies do they watch? What kind of animal is that? How many? It is used to ask about countable things. For example, how many books are there? How many students are in your class? How much? It is used to ask about quantity or price. For example, how much salt should I add? How much money do you have? How long? It is used to ask about duration. For example, how long will it take? How long have you lived here? How far? It is used to ask about distance. For example, how far is your office? How far is the airport from here? How often? It is used to ask about frequency. For example, how often do you exercise? How often does it rain here? How come? It is used to ask about reason. For example, how come it's so late? How come you are so tired? How fast? It is used to ask about speed. For example, how fast can you type? How fast is your internet? How soon? It is used to ask about near future. For example, how soon can we leave? How soon is your interview? How deep? It is used to ask about depth. For example, how deep is the river? How deep is this hole? How wide? It is used to ask about width. For example, how wide is the road? How wide is the sofa? How long ago? It is used to ask about part-time duration. For example, how long ago did it happen? How long ago did they leave? How do? It is used to ask about method. For example, how do you make coffee? How do you go to office? How would you? It is used to ask about imaginary situation. For example, how would you handle a difficult client? How would you spend your week if you had no work? How fast? It is used for speed. For example, how fast can your car go? How fast did you finish your homework? How should? It is used to ask or give advice or suggestion. For example, how should I prepare for the interview? Keep practicing, keep learning. Thanks for watching.